Yo, 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 what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another installment of the Chelsea Hour. I am your host, Casually FC, Marshall DBDX, whatever you want to call me. And pardon my tardiness, I would have been on time if my tabs had just saved like they were supposed to. So I had to reconstruct and rebuild my whole entire show that I worked so hard on for you guys. And yeah, so it took me a little bit to get it all together. Now, normally, I usually have one guest a month. This month, it didn't really work out that way. I could have made it work out, but I needed to make this video or this stream or this hour because I feel like there's a lot of narratives being put out there. And I feel like there's a lot of beliefs being put out there that, here's the thing. And before we start, ladies and gents, you already know, smash up the like button. Big up to everyone in the chat. Big up to everyone tuning in, listening to this in the future. And big up to every single one of you who have subscribed. We finally hit the 3,200 mark, so let's keep it going. That's awesome to see that progress being made. Come join in. We have plenty of content here. If you're a Chelsea fan, this is a right place for you. And if you like balanced opinions, this is the right place for you because listen, right out there right now in the media sphere, in the Chelsea spaces, it's either toxic positivity or toxic negativity. And quite frankly, I'm not a fan of leaning towards either. I like to be fair. I like to say things how it is. And I like to look at and assess information I get and change and adapt based on the information that I have. You will never hear me say or try to predict that a manager is going to fail. You'll never hear me predict that a manager is going to automatically succeed because in order for these things to happen, there needs to be some type of foreseeable evidence to prove that your theory has weight to it. And so no agendas here, unless I state them. No goal or nothing really to get out of this, really. And to be honest with you guys, I'm not looking for people to agree with me. I'm not looking to stir up arguments. I just want to have a platform where I can say what I think I want to say, what I want to get out there, and hopefully inform people. And if you don't believe what I say, then you don't believe what I say. And you don't have to agree with me. In fact, I urge people in my community to not agree with me. I urge you to push back on things I say if you think they're wrong. And I urge people to have different opinions because that is how us as creators, us as fans, us as humans can be better. And that's something that I pride myself in and I strive for. I always strive to be better. I always strive to learn as much as possible and to be as knowledgeable as possible so that that same knowledge I can translate to the audience that I have in front of me here. And I appreciate you guys that tune in every time and listen to what I have to say and respect my opinion. And I appreciate the ones that have a difference of opinion and push back on what I say because it pushes me to, one, build stronger arguments, do more research, and find out if I'm wrong. Because let's be honest, I can be wrong sometimes. And I perfectly accept that. And I think it's perfectly fine to be wrong because with being wrong, you can learn to be right. Now, sorry about that whole spiel, the whole little monologue. I say this because I've been seeing a lot of things out there on MARESCA that, quite frankly, me, the type of person that I am, I don't like it when there is unfair assessments of people out there. I'm not a fan of being unfair. I'm a fan of taking the evidence, seeing what's put in front of you, and then assessing and coming up with fair arguments that way. And I feel like in recent time, the fan base is absolutely obsessed. And I mean that when I say it. Obsession is the right word. I feel like the fan base is absolutely obsessed right now with being negative about absolutely everything. And I mean that. And so, because I'm not a fan of incorrect narratives being put out there, because I'm not a fan of people being unfair, I push back on that stuff naturally. And I've seen a lot of arguments lately that have been very, very critical of MARESCA. Some valid and some perfectly reasonable, and a lot of it unfair, and its blame being placed in the wrong direction, in the wrong areas. Now, I spent a long time building up these arguments. This show is going to be a little different than my other shows, simply because I made a whole entire layout, whole entire outline of all these arguments and why they're wrong. And I've even done outlines of criticisms that I think are fair of the head coach, Enzo Maresca. And as a result, I am going to do my best to catch up with chat and engage with you guys in chat. But I'm going to be completely honest. If this is the show you wanted to have a back and forth with me, it's likely not going to be today. So if you want to tune off, that's your prerogative. It's up to you. I totally understand why. I know some people come in here because they want to engage with a conversation with me. And today is just not going to be that kind of day. I don't think. I'm going to do my best to get through this as quickly as possible. That way I can read chat and talk to you guys in chat. But quite frankly, today I have so many arguments and so many things to put forth that I might not have the opportunity to engage with you guys in chat. So that is your warning, as I am multitasking right now and setting up my stream. I kind of wanted to get it started because there's a lot to talk about. And there's a lot I want to get out there. And there's also a time frame I have to try to be on top of. There's a lot I have to discuss in an hour, essentially, is what I'm trying to get at, guys. So all that being said, smash up the like, subscribe, join the membership if you haven't done so already, because it helps out the channel tremendously. I've seen we've gotten new members over the course of the last few weeks and months, so big up to every single one of you. Like I said, the more members we get, the more I can give you in perks, emojis and stuff like that help make the membership more worth it and more engaging. And I promise that down the line, I will get more cool stuff on there for you guys that makes it worth actually being a member. But do know this as well, guys. I do watch some of my videos, right? And I will, read the chat and I'll see what you guys are saying after I rewatch this video myself. It's not a narcissistic thing. Sometimes I just need to listen to see if my mic is working fine. Sometimes I need to listen to see if what I said projected or came out correctly. And yeah, it is what it is. But let's get into it, guys. MARESCA. Okay, so listen, since Boxing Day, things have been going shit. And people are saying, why are you so mad in your thumbnail? Well, why shouldn't I be? My club is playing like shit. My fan base is losing their absolute minds over everything. You have fucking big media heads or big influencers on social media platforms like Twitter counting the doom days of the club. Oh my God, Chelsea are done. Oh my God, 28 days. The transfer window is closed prematurely and we haven't sold anyone. Oh, this and that. Oh, this and that. Shut the fuck up. If there's one thing that you guys need to learn about me is that I hate bitching. I absolutely hate meritless bitching for the sake of bitching. I can't stand it. I hate beta shit. I am all for just, if you have a problem, fix it yourself. If there is something, going on with your circumstances, your environment, do your best to change it. I am a man that's like very lift yourself up from your bootstraps, make it happen, stop bitching. If there's nothing else you can, all you have to do is complain, fucking find solutions. I'm that kind of guy. I've always been that kind of guy. So when it comes to the fan base bitching and moaning, it just rubs me the wrong way. It triggers me. You may have seen I've been more active on Twitter. It's because I'm looking for news. And when I'm looking for news, I happen to see a lot of bitching. And I just don't like it. It's just not the way I was raised. I was raised to just fucking get your shit together, do what you gotta do, make it happen, and get on with your fucking shit. Instead of bitching and moaning and crying about it and just putting yourself in a situation. That's just how I am. That's how I'm wired, and that's how it always will be. Nothing is going to change. And you know what? This go-getter mentality, the mentality of nothing is going to stop me other than myself, has gotten me to where I am in my life, and it could help you as well if you happen to be in that criteria that I just mentioned. That being said, I ain't judging. I get why people are bitching. I get why people are complaining. I get why the fan base has been so toxic as of late, and I get why things have been going on within the fan base. I understand. And there's plenty of times where I've bitched and moaned and complained about shit. The difference that I like to say is that I like to be reasonable about it. And I feel like there are people that are out there that are being unreasonable. Now, this isn't about the fan base. This is strictly the fan base's criticism, or the criticism I've heard on MARESCA that I feel like is misdirected, because I think the issue at Chelsea is much bigger than MARESCA. And that is also me saying that sacking MARESCA, because there are people who are saying MARESCA out already, sacking MARESCA will do absolutely nothing to solve the issue. We have sacked 4 managers and nothing has happened. We have owners that have made many mistakes, arguably one with MARESCA as well, one with the sporting directors for sure. But there's nothing we can do to change the owners. There's nothing. The only thing that's in your control that you can change about the ownership is what you purchased through Chelsea. Your money. You control your money. And if you really want to make a statement on Chelsea and all that shit, you stop giving them your money. And I'm telling you right now, if things don't change, if things don't improve, I will take that course of action in terms of trying to make my difference towards the club. Because this whole thing, all of these clubs, all this operation, it runs on finances and money. So you stop that, you pull the rug out of it, you stop feeding into the one thing you hate. So that out of the way, like I said, I think it's okay to complain, but be reasonable. Some people just like to complain for the sake of complaining, and that's where I draw the line. Everyone has complaints. I have complaints about the ownership. I have complaints about MARESCA. But I'm going to give you my criticism. I'm going to give you why I have those complaints. And I'm not just going to wah about it. So, on to what I've been hearing. So, like I said, I feel like there's been a lot of unfair criticism towards MARESCA. And just to get this out of the way, because every time I defend anyone, I'm automatically labeled as that ex-defender or ex-pro X or whatever. You name the X. So when I start defending MARESCA, you guys are going to automatically think, I'm for MARESCA, I'm MARESCA in, oh, I'm a Clear Lake shill and all this and that. No. And this is why I want to have this conversation. This is why I want to, well, it's not really a conversation. I'm just talking to you guys. But this is why I want to have this video so I can get my message across, what I am talking about, what I see, and how I assess it. Because quite frankly, I don't mean to sound arrogant. There's not many people that view football the way I view football, in a sense of just being reasonable about things. I can tell you off the top of my head, I feel like Carefree Lewis is very reasonable about the way he views things. And the Final Whistle podcast, Javon, I feel like he's very reasonable the way he views things at Chelsea. And there's a few other ones. But the moment you see any good in some of the shit, you're labeled as a Clear Lake shill or whatever the fuck. I think it's stupid. I think good things and bad things can coexist. And there's pros and cons to some of the things that have been happening. Which is why I say, here at Casually FC, if you're interested in the rational and the balanced point of view of all things happening at Chelsea, not just positive, not just negative, you found the right channel. Because this is what I do. And this is what I like to do, and this is what I pride myself on. The fact that I can sit here and be reasonable about things. So let's start off with my criticism of MARESCA, right? Because I want to be reasonable here. I don't think Maresca's been perfect. I don't. In fact, I think Maresca has done things that I find to be very, very odd and very, very questionable. That I know, in my opinion, or at least based on what I know, based on the data I've seen, based on the actions that have taken place, in my opinion, or even in fact, a lot of these things are specifically things that Maresca has done. Just him. No influence from any other parties. First thing first is the in-game management and the subs. So, in the very beginning of the season, things looked good. He looked like he had pretty decent in-game management. And at that point, I think I chalk it up a lot to he was finding his best 11. He was finding what players connected well with others, what chemistry was there. Like, you know how you play EAFC and there's chemistry lines and the chemistry triangles, whatever? Yeah, those are real. Like, chemistry is a real thing in football. You play with someone long enough, you get used to how they play, you know what runs they're going to do, you know what flicks they're going to try, you know how they're looking for you, how they're going to pass it to you. Thierry Henry had a beautiful quote about when he was a striker, how, I think it was Wenger sat him down and told him, listen, do you think X player is going to pass you the ball like X player will? It's stuff like that. But the only way that happens is through consistent game time and experimenting and seeing who fits well with what gels better here, what's for this system, what's for this game, and so on and so forth, right? And I feel like as of late, Maresca's been playing it way too safe with his best 11. Instead of taking chances, instead of making subs earlier, instead of making subs that can change the tide of the game. I praise the fact that Maresca substituted on Nkunku at 60 minutes in the last game. That's good because your striker wasn't working. But quite frankly, had you had done that sooner, maybe we would have seen a different Nkunku on that pitch versus the one that we saw in the last game against City, which was dire. It was dire. Let's just be honest. But that's neither here nor there. We'll get to that. The substitutes have been too late. And the substitutes in the game of football, in the game that we watch at this level, make a world of difference. The substitutes, and Maresca should know this, are the difference between winning or losing games sometimes. That's why last season we got on Poch a lot, because he would make defensive substitutes when we need to win. Poch would play for draws sometimes. When we had the game at the scruff of the neck. Liverpool in the Carabao Cup, for example. We were going into extra time against youth. We had the advantage. What does Poch do? He plays defensively. When we could have gone aggressive and actually taken advantage that there's inexperienced players on that pitch, more inexperienced than the ones that we have. Instead, plays conservative. And Maresca, things are looking funny in the light. And when you look at your subs and your in-game management, it's been shit. It has been shit. And you got to call it like it is. It has been shit. Since Boxing Day, even earlier than Boxing Day, the in-game substitutions and in-game management have been crap. You guys already know that. And I'm sure most of you agree. It's been crap. That's my first criticism of Maresca. Another criticism of Maresca is the left back selection. What do I mean by that? I don't mean that he plays Cucurella. I think playing Cucurella as a left back that inverts is perfectly fine. I think that's a great decision. He is one of the best left backs in the Premier League. I still hold that. And I still think for the system that he wants to play, he's perfect. He's our number one. However, when our number one is not there, who is our number two? It's Malo Gusto. And that is where I disagree. I think to persist with experimenting with a Malo Gusto at left back that has barely worked at right back, if at all, is absolutely stupidity. I sat here and criticized Pochettino for constantly playing Levi Colwill left back. I sat here and criticized Pochettino for constantly playing Ben Chilwell at left wing. I criticized Pochettino for playing Enzo at left wing or a 10 multiple times. And now I'm sitting here doing the same goddamn thing for Enzo MARESCA when it comes to Malo Gusto at left back. You keep doing the same entire mistake over and over and over. Bro, you have a left back you don't have him now, and we'll get to that. You had a backup left back in Renato Vega that was specifically purchased as a Swiss Army knife to invert in your system. Yet you refuse to play him. Why? Or not even refuse to play him, but you refuse to put him ahead of Malo Gusto in that position. That is not his natural position, who is struggling to invert. Give it to someone who does it naturally, who is familiar with those positions that he's going to be inverting in. Center back, left back, center defensive mid. It makes no sense why he isn't doing that. It could be politics. I doubt it is, though. I think it's actually a decision by him. It makes no sense to me. So it's another one that I think, in my opinion, MARESCA is just getting wrong. He's just getting this wrong and he's persisting with it over and over again. Once I get done with my criticism, I'll skim through some of the comments because I don't want to leave the comments out completely. All right. Rigidness of system. Okay. I have my notes here, guys. Okay. So this is, I kind of reach for this, but at the same time, I'm not a fan that he's not flexible with his system. To an extent, take it with a pinch of salt because he has had systems where instead of playing with 110, he'll play with 2 10s. That, I get it. So maybe it's early onset days when it comes to the system, but I'm not a fan of the fact that he refuses to go towards anything that requires overlapping fullbacks. What if the game calls for an overlapping fullback? Now, he did say he did it against Crystal Palace, but we've yet to see if he'll do it again in games that do call for an overlapping fullback. In games where the wingers need assistance and they can't take on 3-2-man by themselves. They need that overlapping fullback. If you're as good of a manager as the directors say you potentially will be, because let's be honest, he's inexperienced. If you're a disciple of Pep, surely you have tools at your disposal that you can use in terms of tactics to, and that's the thing, you're coined as a tactico by the players, by people who have worked with you. Surely you can see the game out, or surely you can see how the game is looking in 60 minutes and say, you know what, or not even in the first 45, and say, listen, Malo, Cuckoo, Reese, whoever, overlap for the second half. Overlap for the second half, and we'll see how it goes. Give it 15 minutes, give it 20 minutes. And listen, I might be being harsh with this one. Maybe he has already done that, and I just not paid attention to it. But as far as I'm aware, he publicly stated he does not like overlapping fullbacks, and I think you're limiting yourself at that point. Same thing goes with Cole Palmer in the right wing. Now, he said, oh, what happens? What does Cole Palmer do in the right wing? He comes into the middle, he plays as the 10. I get that. I understand that. But that is the position he played where he feels comfortable. That is a position where he was elusive. That was a position where he got the explosive season he got last season. Now, who's to say if he'll repeat it? Who knows? The season's not over. I'm not going to end it. The season does not end in January, people. The season does not end in January. That's why I'm not overreacting saying our season is done. Shut up. It's not done. There's still, 18, 17, 15 more games to go? A lot of things can change in 15 games, okay? So shut your stupid mouth about, oh, the season's done, we're not getting top 4. Shut up. Anyways, this resistance to play Cole Palmer in the right wing, and it's a position that favors him a lot, just baffles me, considering it gives you a different option. I don't like that MARESCA likes to pin himself or kind of, get himself stuck with just this one way of playing. I think as a manager, especially given the goals that you were given, that top four isn't necessary today, then you should feel more liberated to experiment a little bit more and be more flexible with your tactics. Be more flexible with how you play Cole Palmer. Who's to say if you had played Cole Palmer at right wing and then you have Zhao in the 10, who's to say that wouldn't have worked? I understand you come out and say, oh, but who's going to defend? Well, not every team goes out and attacks either. Not every team's attack is going to penetrate your defense in midfield. So you can get away with some games where you're a little bit more aggressive than defensive. But it's his way of seeing it that it's like, I think he's just, hopefully it changes. But right now, based on what I'm seeing, you're very close-minded. You're very close-minded to trying different tactics or different setups for your team. And I think to an extent, it's very much like how Tuchel was. And it got to a point where Tuchel was found out. And it seems, time will tell, that maybe we're getting found out too. And that's scary. That's scary this early in the season. This early in his tenure, to be honest. It does make me nervous. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I hope that's not the case. I don't know if that's fact, but I just hope it's not the case. The other issue I have is the mentality. Now, I understand to a certain extent that maybe you don't want to put pressure on the players. They're young. But at the same time, I think it's a mistake to let the players be relaxed as well. If you're getting this message about, oh, I'm not expected to get top four, are you then translating that to our players as well? Are you telling them that we're not in a title race, that we're not in a top four race? And is that why they're not playing it? Because, guys, I want to pinpoint something from last season. And not even last season. I want to pinpoint something from multiple seasons. For those of you who were Chelsea fans during the Tuchel era, right? Remember the Tuchel's first full season. Players were looking questionable. The performances were looking questionable. But they were still playing and things were all right. I know we were missing our wing backs, and that was a huge part of the system. No backup or no support in the January window for that. People weren't bitching and moaning now or then, like they are now. It's a tradition here at Chelsea. We just love to bitch and moan when we don't get our little transfer dopamine. Anyways, my point in saying that is that there was a moment in that season that I noticed. Once we were knocked out of the Champions League, the Modric to Rodrigo goal, the fucking half goal, that Modric was fantastic, goal in extra time. We almost made that comeback. Everyone remembers that game. That was probably one of the greatest Chelsea games I've ever seen. Even greater than the Champions League final in terms of how we performed. We were tremendous, perfect to a T. But unfortunately, Modric is Modric. Benzema is Benzema. That team, that Real Madrid team is Real Madrid. And we were at the Bernabeu. So, shit happens. But after that match, I remember the season started to get worse. And the players looked like they weren't up for it anymore. The players looked like they had lost any reason to try anymore. I was like, well, we're not in Champions League. We're not going to try. They dropped off. I don't want to say they down tools, but they pretty much did. The performances dropped off. Last season, when the team saw that top four was still up for grabs, I think this team turned on and the mentality turned on and they started playing for a top four spot. They knew it was possible. In interviews, they were asked about it. They knew it was very possible, and you started seeing them play for it. I'm worried that this team's mentality isn't playing like they're trying to win the league title. Now, I'm not saying we're going to win the league title. I'm not saying we're in a title race. I'm just saying, when your mentality is, I am going to try to win the title, then you play like you're going to try to win the title. You may not get there, but you will try and try and try until there's no possibility to do so. And that's the type of person I am too. I will try and I will make anything happen. Unless it's impossible, I will do everything in my power to make something happen, like this show, for example, and so on and so forth. So I'm worried that if MARESCA is going out here and saying we're not in a title race, yada, 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 is then that making our players more relaxed? Is that making our players think, oh, well, we're not in a title race. We're not going to really try. It's okay. We can drop points here. This dip in form, it's all right. Oh, Nico, it's okay. Like, you got the rest of the season to get goals. We have the rest of the season to try to get top 4 or pick it up. These mentalities reverberate in the locker room. These mentalities spread. And it comes from the top to the bottom. And that is one thing about MARESCA that now in the light, it's looking funny. I understand you were trying to protect the players, but to a certain extent, maybe change your wording. Maybe say, instead of we are not in the title race, maybe say we are aiming to do our best this season. And if it's a title race, then so be it. It's that phrasing that could potentially be what's affecting the team as well. I'm not going to stick it all on that, but it could be a factor, and you can't deny that it could be a factor. And I don't like the messaging. I do not like the messaging. And I think that is stupid on MARESCA. Compared to Tuchel. Tuchel saying, I want to build a team that nobody wants to play against. That's a different messaging than what MARESCA's saying. Fuck, even Pochettino had better messaging. And I hated Poch. Even Pochettino had better messaging. Although he was talking out of his ass in the beginning of the season. But even he said, try to get Champions League. Chelsea's one of the best teams in the world. Get to that standard, yada, yada, yada. It translates to the players. It really does. Especially if these players believe in you and you're managing them the way you're managing them with the tactics and all that, the system, they will believe in you. And I think these players do believe in MARESCA. But MARESCA, you need to be smarter about what you say. Because that gets to the players. The players are listening. Oh my God, and I forgot. Messaging like that, right? We're not in a top 4 race. The worst one, and this is what triggered me big time. We are better now than we were 2 months ago. Where is it? Bro, if you don't get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. Do I look like a fucking idiot to you? Do Chelsea fans look like fucking idiots to you? We're better now than we were 2 months ago? Are you fucking serious? Shut the fuck up, dude. Absolutely shut the fuck up. You're lying through your teeth and you know it. So now my trust in MARESCA has dampened a bit because of stupid comments like that. Like, let's be real. We're not. Performances haven't been better. The performances have been in a bit of a decline. And you know that. Maybe your system is getting through to them a little bit more, but still. Don't lie. Don't lie to our face. It's stupid. So there's that. And then the last thing, obviously, it's not really on him. This is more on the sporting directors, but he's inexperienced. And he's inexperienced in his shows. Literally what I said and all that stuff, inexperienced stuff. It shows that he's inexperienced. And it sucks. It sucks. It's a criticism, in a sense. He's inexperienced, and it shows on the pitch. It shows with the tactics. It shows with the man management of minutes and all that stuff. It shows in a bunch of these things. And that's the criticism aspect of the show, right? I will get to the sticking points that I feel like have not been fair on MARESCA, because I feel like a lot of stuff that we're criticizing MARESCA for isn't pointed in the right direction. I think we do need to look over MARESCA, because remember who appointed him. Remember who decided to invest the stocks in an inexperienced manager. MARESCA's not going to say no to an opportunity to Chelsea. If you're a mechanic that's been working on Toyotas, Hondas, or whatever, or if you're a janitor, right? If you're a janitor for a garbage company, when you get the opportunity to be the CEO of said garbage company or another garbage company, I don't know why I'm using garbage company. you're probably not going to turn it down. So I don't blame MARESCA for taking the job. It was very, very lucrative, and it's very good for his career in terms of finding a step, challenging himself. I think he's a man who likes to challenge himself. So I don't blame MARESCA for putting himself in this position. He wasn't the one that put himself there. He merely accepted it. All right. Let me try to skim through some comments, guys. I don't want to completely neglect the comments section, but you guys have been going in. I'll have a big up to everyone in the comments. Be sure to smash up the like button if you haven't done so already, guys. I appreciate it. For 2 years now, we're still, yeah. Vic, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Big up, big up, big up. Big up, big up. I'm a big fan of being unfair. Yeah. Get the likes up for today's lecture. Yeah, it's kind of a lecture. I don't mean to be a lecturer, guys. I'm going to prioritize member chats because I got to get through this show and there's a lot to go through still. Today, you'll act like a old transistor radio. No phone and no feedback. All right, Marshall. That guy. No, I don't mind I don't mind the feedback. I'll just read it over later. Marshall will be hiding. I will not. No bitching about strikers. Is a tiger in the background sleeping? There's a tiger in the background? What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? Oh, the issue is bigger than MARESCA. Oh my God. It was hammered for questioning ownerships 2 years ago. Yeah, but the thing is, with new evidence, right? That's where I'm getting at. With new evidence, now things look clear. I don't like to make assumptions. 2 years ago, it was an assumption. We didn't know what they were going to do 2 years ago. Now that we're seeing how they're doing, now that we're seeing the actions, it's one thing to do actions. It's another thing to say things. So, again, I've never jumped the boat. I never jumped the gun. You will never hear me jump the gun on something. Even with the whole Garnacho thing, I'm willing to give it a shot. You will not hear me jump the gun. But now with new information, I assess. Putch still has. Unfortunately, MARESCA's a good fit. It'd be very disappointing if he isn't here for a while. No, I agree. I think sacking a manager would be a fucking horrible, considering it's just another revolving door. It won't solve anything. Gusto left back was still acceptable, but Gusto inverting to right side 10 and moving Palmer to his left was out of nowhere. And we're okay. Fair enough, I guess. That's one way to kind of agree with me there. We don't know what any player is specifically purchased for. Let's be real. You can get an idea. Didn't he invert Gusto at 10, played 2 DMs, defensive draw? Yeah, exactly. Stuff like this just does not make any sense to me. Pepling, yada, yada, yada. I agree with the criticism, but legit, every single manager coach has those games where the setup doesn't make any sense in that instance, but stick by it largely. Yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, we had Klopp for the longest time, stick to his guns and not change, and it cost him a top 4 spot, but the owner stuck with him. So on and so forth. So, and I get what you're saying. That's not a MARESCA exclusive, but it's something that I find to be annoying is all. That's my criticism of him. You don't have to agree with me, like I said, guys. No, Marshall, he abandoned his tactics since Arsenal game, and since that, he has been jumping around with different systems. You're going to have to explain that one for me, because I disagree wholeheartedly with that. I don't think he's abandoned his tactics at all. It's a mentality at the club. If the sporting directors were truly desperate for the top 4, they would have reacted after 7 weeks of bad results. MARESCA's not capping. I feel like it would be stupid to react to 7 weeks of bad results, considering their reaction to 15 weeks, 16 weeks of good results was to keep him. So it's like, you got to have a balance on this stuff. That's what I said from the beginning. There's a balance to it all. Like, there was good results too. We were in top 4. We were in a second place position at one point. And because there was a few results that, let's be honest, we have more good results than we have bad results, which is why we're still in a top 4 race. Not since MARESCA announced in the presser that we are not in any title race. Yeah. Listen to James after Man City. That was Yeah, I agree. Giving excuses, but it's not them. It's people in charge. They are not under any pressure. Yeah, I probably agree with you on that. MARESCA has shown good side until Arsenal game. Bring it back. I agree. MARESCA also had mid-season fumble at Leicester. I also am worried about that. I'll explain Sanchez, by the way. I will explain Sanchez 100%. But it's deeper than MARESCA, is what I'm trying to get at. Nico attacking Mikel while he had a lot to improve on. Says everything, bro. What are you doing to keep your job and stay at the top? We'll get on Nico as well. Thank you. Inexperience across the board. The players, coaches, directors, and owners. Yep. Subscriber. Well, did you say he say something to be positive? Well, you can pin the blame on MARESCA, Potter, Poch all you want, but didn't create. Thank you, Vic. And that is the point of this video, because I am hearing way too many people just saying MARESCA's the problem. And quite frankly, I don't think he is. I think MARESCA's working what he can. And in fact, the fact that MARESCA has us where we are in the table, considering the environment he's in, it's actually very impressive. But we don't want to give MARESCA credit. And by we, I mean people that I have to look into here. But let me, I have something I needed to whip out. Pause. I gotta have this ready. Okay. So, the sticking points that I have with this whole criticism of MARESCA. Okay. Some of it is tactical. I'll admit, guys. Some of it is bigger than MARESCA. Actually, most of it is bigger than MARESCA. Let's be honest. So, let's get into it, because there's a lot. Okay. I'm going to start off with this. Crossing into the box. Okay, we'll start off simple and then we'll get to the deeper stuff. Quote, wingers are encouraged to loft balls into the air. For who exactly and with what expectation? On the surface level, sure. You can say that. Why are we crossing the ball into the box? Yada, yada, this, that. But when you look at the facts, when you look at the stats, it has worked for us. We have gotten goals out of it. This isn't like Lampard, where that was all it was. That was all the tactic was. That was all we would do to win games. No, it just happens to be a tool at our disposal that we use from time to time to try to get goals, to try to put the ball in dangerous areas, because we have crossers in Neto and Madueke who can cross a ball into a dangerous area. Why wouldn't you use it? Just because, guys, I want to get this point across. And I understand we need a different profile of striker. I agree with you on that. If we could have in an ideal world, a striker that can head the ball so that they can take advantage of those crosses to get a shot onto the target, would be nice. But heading a cross isn't the only option. You can chest it down. You can redirect it with your chest or your shoulder, your knee. There's so many ways to redirect a cross towards goal, or to take advantage of a cross to get a goal. It's not just heading. It's not just heading. And there's multiple types of crosses. There's low-driven crosses, crosses on the ground, crosses over the top, chips, corner crosses. So we're criticizing MARESCA because he uses one of many ways to try to get goals. It's ridiculous to me. Just because we don't have a striker that can head the ball doesn't mean you can't score from a cross. And let me tell you, we've had 48 goals this season. Who wants to take a gander at how many goals we've scored from crosses? I'll give you guys a second to respond, but give me a number. How many goals out of the 48 goals we've had this season, how many goals do you think we've had from crosses? I'll take a drink of water while I wait. I literally went back and watched the videos, watched every single Chelsea goal to try to actually, and I wasn't shameless about it. If it was a cross, I would consider it a cross. None of this, pass into the box. No, like a legitimate cross. It either lifted the ball or it was outside the box and came in, or it was low driven. A legitimate cross. Okay. So 2, 15, 10. Okay, you're all wrong. Now, I'm not saying this is our way of getting goals. I'm not saying this is the only way to get goals, but it's a way to get goals, and it has served its purpose, and it does get us some goals, because without the crosses that we've gotten goals from, we'd only score 40 goals this season. So to answer your question, we've gotten 8 goals from crosses, corners and crosses. I'm not saying just cross the ball. That's the only way we're going to get goals now. No. I'm just trying to point out that why would you criticize a manager for using a tool at his disposal to try to get goals? It succeeded for him 8 times. That's almost a quarter of the goals that you've gotten. Almost a quarter, right? It's not quite a quarter. Almost a quarter of the goals that you've gotten have been from crosses. Why would you take that out of your disposal? Why are we criticizing MARESCA for telling wingers to cross the ball into the box from time to time? If you can't beat your man, just pass it back. Like, this is ridiculous. This is like the type of criticism that I see, and I'm like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? It's so dumb. And this argument also leads to the next quote. The forwards we have are so underwhelming that defenders are now consistent goal threat and the ones that can deliver the goods. Why is there a persistence to have defenders in offensive positions when there are skilled offensive options in the squad? Big up TJ Warren. Big up to every single one of you coming from TJ Warren TV. That is the raid. That is the raid message. Ladies and gents, come on in. Smash the like button, because I'm crashing it on people who are being completely unfair on MARESCA. And if you want the MARESCA criticism, tune into the first half hour of the show where I criticize the shit out of MARESCA. So there's this narrative that apparently our defenders are the ones scoring our goals. What are we actually doing? What football are we watching where I have people telling me the forwards are so underwhelming that defenders are now the constant goal threat? Need I remind you people, and by you people, I mean the ones that are actually saying this. 2020-2021 season. This is the season that we won the Champions League. Our top goal scorer was Jorginho with 7 goals. Tammy, Mount, and Werner were tied for 6 goals. Guess who was the one who had 5 goals for the team? Third position. I'll give you a hint right now. It's not a midfielder, and it's not an attacker. Kurt Zuma. Kurt Zuma scored 5 goals for us that season. Third place. Third place, Kurt Zuma, for most goals in the team. 21-2022. Mount, 11 goals. Lukaku and Havertz tied for 8. Jorginho, Pulisic tied for 6. In 4th place, our right back, Reece James. 5 goals. Tied for 5th place, Ziyech and Werner. Wait. And Alonso, our left back, for 4 goals. And it gets even better. It gets even better. Guys, check this out. Check this out. So I said 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. 6th place for most goals. And these guys are tied for 3 goals apiece. Remember, the argument was that apparently our defensive options are the threats. Our attack is so underwhelming. Thiago Silva, Rudiger, Chalobah, and Chilwell. Each of them had 3 goals apiece. Meaning 12 goals came from our defense. 12 goals from our defender versus our top goal scorer, which was Mount, who stat padded that season, by the way. So our defenders, our center backs, well, our defenders, scored more goals than our top attacker. But I'm supposed to believe that this season, our defense is more threatening. And you know what? We'll go even more recent, guys. We'll go even more recent. And this one's not that crazy, right? Havertz 7 in 22-23. Havertz 7, Sterling 6, Felix 4, Gallagher 3, Mount 3, Koulibaly, J5, and Chilwell were at 2. Remember these numbers, guys. The only one that hit double digits was Mason Mount in 21-22. Let's fast forward to this season. Remember, our defenders are now consistent goal threats versus our attacking ones. So far this season, Cole Palmer, and this is just the Premier League, guys. I just want to point out, all of these stats are just the Premier League because apparently Conference League doesn't count. Apparently Carabao Cup doesn't count. Apparently FA Cup doesn't count. So I'm playing fair. I'm playing to the rules that people want to say. These competitions don't count for anything. All right, cool. We'll play by your rules. This season in the Premier League, Palmer, 14, already surpassed Mason Mount in that season. Jackson, 9, already passed Havertz and Lukaku from that very season that we had more attacking output, right? Madueke, 7, Enzo, 3, and Nkunku and Sancho, 2. In the Premier League, Cucurella is in there as well, 2. So it stops with Cucurella with the goals. But most of our goals are coming from our attack. We have the 4th best attack in terms of goals scored in the league. Yet you're supposed to sit here and tell me that our defenders are more of a consistent goal threat than our forwards. And that's why we're crossing the ball into the box. That's why MARESCA is telling these players to cross the ball into the box, because our defenders are getting us our goals. If you don't get the fuck out of here, the waffle. People want to literally pinpoint this on MARESCA. I gave you the criticism. Go watch it. This is not on MARESCA. And if your problem is the attack being underwhelming, MARESCA didn't recruit this attack. He's doing what's best of what he has in front of him. And honestly, 4th best attack. At one point, we were the best attack. 4th best attack in the league with attackers that are shit. Cool. You're doing a good job, MARESCA. I'm not going to criticize him for that. Let's move on to the next thing that pissed me off. Who has MARESCA developed? Okay, so now halfway through the season, we're gonna sit there and look at who MARESCA has developed. Pochettino had until a whole season. Graham Potter had a whole, well, not really, but Pochettino had a whole season before people asked, who is he developing? Who is he developed? But now halfway through the season, we want to ask who MARESCA developed. Well, it's okay. It's okay because you know what? I have an answer for you. And this is opinion. Sure. I can explain each and every single one of them if you want me to. And why I've gathered the opinion I've gathered. And there's still more to be added to this list. So you don't have to agree with me on this one. You don't have to agree with me on this one. It's fine. Like I said, I don't want an echo chamber. I don't want people to agree with me. I want people to push back on me. All right? Pause. I want pushback. Because if I'm wrong about something and you can convince me I'm wrong about it, then that makes me more knowledgeable. Who has MARESCA developed? Caicedo. Let's be honest, guys. Caicedo didn't become the Caicedo we see now last season up until the very last few games of the season, where he kind of got comfortable with the players he was playing. This season, it could have very much have gone left for Caicedo. Caicedo could have regressed back to that form. Caicedo could have not looked as good as he did last season. It's on MARESCA to put Caicedo in the best light and make him look his best. And I would say the Caicedo we're seeing now is better than the Caicedo we saw at the end of last season. And that is on how MARESCA set him up. That is on how MARESCA is coaching him. We've seen Caicedo play at right back, which we never saw last season. We've seen Caicedo play as a lone 6, as a double 6. We knew he was capable of doing it. We've seen it under De Zerbi. But now Enzo MARESCA is bringing that out of him and is developing it, refining it, sharpening the knife. So in my opinion, I think he's actually been developing Caicedo. Again, this is my opinion, guys. I know we're not all going to agree on this. This is a objective, subjective one, right? Who he's developed. But I'm not having this notion that he's developed no one. He has developed people, okay? Enzo Fernandez. We all know Enzo Fernandez was a good player. But maybe the league was what was challenging. This season, we've seen a much, much more improved Enzo Fernandez. And that is something that Poch can't say. That is something that Potter really can't say either. We've seen the best of Enzo Fernandez under MARESCA because of how MARESCA has coached him, because of how MARESCA has told him to make his runs, where to position himself. I even think, to an extent, defensively, even though if you follow me on Twitter, you saw how pissed off I was with a recent tweet with the Man City game with Enzo, right? Players make mistakes. I get it. But even defensively, Enzo Fernandez has improved. Kind of like how Conor Gallagher was starting to tame his tackles and stuff. MARESCA's doing the same thing with Enzo Fernandez. So there's that. Cucurella. Same argument as Caicedo. Consistent now. Inverting. Used as an attacking 8 sometimes. Used as a 10 sometimes. Sometimes plays as the left wing. Pochettino did none of that. The only thing Pochettino did was invert him into midfield from left back. MARESCA expanded on that. Added more to his repertoire. Made him consistent. Defensively, he looks more sound now. Defensively, making more rash decisions. Not getting turned like he used to get turned all the time. So I'm giving credit to MARESCA for how good Cucurella has become and has improved. Jackson. Yep. I'm saying it. Jackson. Controversial one. Hot button topic. I get it. In my opinion, Nicholas Jackson is a better striker this season than he was last season. The season's not over. The season is not over. But who's to say? This could go two ways, right? When the season ends, maybe he doesn't reach as many goals as he did last season. And then in that case, I have to retract the statement about he's improved. But in the trajectory he's going in right now, to be at 9 goals in the Premier League so far this season, to have had as good of a start as he's had, and have made the decision he has made early in the season. You saw the gameplay. You saw less touches, less of an attitude, more maturity. There's been improvements of Jackson overall. Yes, the last 7 games have not been good. I understand that. I'm not talking about the last 7 games, people. I am talking about the season as a whole up until the point we're at. And when you look at things before it started to go bad, and you take out the stain, right? And you look at the majority, by the way, people, because our season so far has not been 7 games. Our season so far has been what? 26, 24? How many games have we played so far, guys? Well, let me not ask you guys because I'm barely reading chat. I'm so sorry, guys. Just like I said, I warned you early. This isn't going to be the stream where I'm going to be reading chat too much. God damn it. How many? Oh, I'm being dumb. Matches played, 23. Okay. So 23 games into the season. The last 7 games, Jackson hasn't been good, right? We'll say that for simplicity's sake. So that means there's 13 matches. Am I doing the math right? Hold on. Am I doing the math right? 24. Take 24 out. It's 17. Oh. So, okay. 17. 16. So the first 16 versus the last 7. The first 16 matches of the season, there was a good Jackson versus the last 7 we just seen. Just keep that in mind, guys. Overall, Jackson's season has been a positive than it has been a negative. And he has improved drastically under MARESCA. Time will tell if he turns it around. And if he does, which I think will happen, then again, he has improved even more under MARESCA. I'll give Poch credit. Poch played him. Poch gave him minutes. Cool. MARESCA has now taken that player that played the same minutes and improved him. Now we've seen him prior to the 7 be more clinical. He's not been clinical lately. There's still a lot to work on. But we've seen improvements on Jackson, and you're being disingenuous if you say we haven't. If you say we haven't, I'm assuming you've seen the last 7 matches and not the first, I just did the math, and not the first 16. Just something to keep in mind, guys. But again, this is my opinion, all right? It doesn't have to, you don't have to stick with it. I still have a lot more to go, and I've already been an hour. Sorry. Madueke. Yes, Madueke, another one that's controversial. Believe it or not, ladies and gents, he's improved him. He has improved Madueke. Madueke is better defensively than he ever was in the last 2 seasons. He works harder than he ever did in the last 2 seasons. Goal scoring and all this and that, sure. That maybe has stayed the same. There is more to be desired. But when you look at the off-the-ball things, the boring stuff that no one wants to look at, Madueke has improved. And that does make a difference with the result. It does make a difference to what happens. Yes, he fell asleep against Man City. It happens. Players fall asleep all the time. Drogba conceded a penalty in the Champions League. Players make mistakes. I'm not comparing him to Drogba. I'm just saying. Even the best players make mistakes. It's about how consistent he is going forward from this point on. But overall, when you look at his season, when he's played, when you look at the output, when you look at the defensive work, Madueke has improved. I'm not going to sit here and say last season he was better than this season. No, he's been better this season than he was last season. And that's what we're looking at. Players developed under MARESCA. And I think Madueke has been an improvement. Mudryk is another one that we've all sat here and said, okay, there's a slight improvement there. Is it enough for Chelsea? Probably not. He got banned now, so it doesn't matter. But prior to that ban, he's improved. He's been more consistent in Conference League. He's been more impactful in games, although not enough to actually impact the game. But he's improved. Like, you got to call a spade a spade. At some point, you got to sit there and look at, like, okay, he used to be a lot worse than this. Like last season, Mudryk wasn't playing this consistently. Mudryk was shit and bad and shit and good and shit. The season before that, just shit. There's a player there improving. Well, I say improving, but I don't think he's going to stay at Chelsea anymore. Mudryk is another one that's been developing under MARESCA. Even João Felix. Oh, believe it or not, João Felix has improved under MARESCA. Last season, not even last season, the Potter season, I would have been pressed to see João Felix do any defensive work whatsoever. I remember sitting here saying multiple times, like, Felix just wants ball at feet and he just wants to make runs all the time. That's all he ever wants to do. Hero ball, all that and this. This season, I feel like he's been a lot more intelligent of a player. I feel like he's been a lot more calm of a player. I feel like he's more of a team player. I feel like he's putting in more defensive shifts. Although he does give away the ball sometimes, he actually doesn't give up on it. He actually goes back and tries to fight it. Last season, when João Felix was first here, he got sent off in his first game. Remember that, guys. There wasn't a mature player there. He was rash. This season, I've seen more improvement from João Felix. Less of this hero ball. There's still hero ball, don't get me wrong. Less of this hero ball from him and more of a team player than I did under the Potter season. Under the Potter season, Felix just wanted to go for goal, wanted to take on everyone. I think there's been more maturity in Felix's season, whether it be from MARESCA or not. But defensively, he's doing more work now. He's putting in tackles. He's trying to press. Stuff that he used to not do. He used to just sit there and watch the game. He used to be a spectator so often. Now, not so much. And I've gained respect for him as a result. And you see him in conference league matches take games by the scruff of the neck. I respect it. He tries. He tries, which is something I didn't see from Felix when we were under Potter. For me, Felix didn't give a fuck under Potter. And no, I did not watch Barca. Nor do I care to watch Barca, to be honest. I'm talking about what I've seen at Chelsea, what I saw in the past, and what I'm seeing now. Early onset too, Felix was questionable as well. And I've seen slight improvements on Felix, even if MARESCA didn't want him. And again, this is all my opinion. I could be wrong about these things. I'm perfectly fine to accept that I may be wrong about the players he's developed. But I invite you guys to tell me why I'm wrong. And maybe you'll convince me. And Guiu. Even this season, Guiu. Guiu in the beginning of the season, just pressing machine. As soon as he would go in front of goal, just gets nervous and just like I gotta shoot, I gotta score. The tension would get to him. You can tell there was a rawness to him. In the recent matches where we've seen him play, a lot more calmer in front of goal, a lot more composed in front of goal. Not just a ball of energy now, just trying to impress, trying to get a goal, not feeling the pressure. I think to an extent, MARESCA has calmed him down. MARESCA has shown him how to improve in front of net, trained him a little bit more to be more calm and composed in front of the net. And time will tell if it continues on, but I've seen improvements on Guiu. Genuinely, I have. There might, like you said, JP, I do read some of the comments. I'm glancing over. I'm trying not to get too distracted because I have to finish up the show. But there does need to be more of a sample size. But based on the sample size that I've seen so far, I can see a trajectory where he's improving and he's developing as a player. Now, that's the whole argument that he hasn't developed anyone. Sure. And I might be wrong about some of these players. But this notion that he's not developed anyone, give it a rest. Give it a rest. He has developed some players. And these are ones that I, in my opinion, say he's developed. Obviously, I left out Cole Palmer because Cole Palmer is, in my opinion, probably not looked as good as last season. But Cole Palmer is still a good player. I don't know if he's improved him as a player. Time will tell. Malo Gusto has kind of digressed a bit. But that's probably because of the system. Who knows if he'll come out of that. Colwell, I don't know. This seems like Colwell's level to me. Badiashile has been up and down. Disasi is Disasi. Tosin's Tosin. Like, there are players there that I can't really just shoehorn in. Lavia is Lavia. I don't know if Lavia was as good as this in Southampton. There's some players that are intangibles I just can't say. But time will tell. Time will tell if, they've been developed by MARESCA. Even Jadon Sancho and Neto. As far as I'm aware, this is how they used to play in their respective teams as well. I don't know if he's improved them. We are Cole Palmer FC. We're not. Last season, you could say that because I'm pretty sure last season, I didn't look into this, I should have. Last season, Cole scored, you know what, I could actually look into it right now. All right, you know what, let's do this, guys. Let me share my screen just so we can discuss this. Cole Palmer FC. Okay, cool. Let's look into last season and see the comparisons of last season to this season. So, let's share my screen. Boom. Cole Palmer FC. Last season. It was very true. Pretty much involved in every game. Minus this one. Scores 4 here. Assists. Goal. Assist. Blanked here, but we didn't win. Assist. Goal. Blank. Goal. Assist, goal. In the beginning, he was still adapting to the game. Assist, goal. There's maybe 1, 2. He had a cold. Ha. That's hilarious. 1, 2, 3, 4. You say 4. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me actually look at this better. Hold on. Let's look at the 90 minutes too. That counts. 1, 2, 3. I'll say 3. 3. Whatever. 4, 5, 6, Wait, what am I looking at? No, games where we won without Cole Palmer. My apologies, guys. We won one game there without Cole involved, right? In terms of like a goal and assist. This is not a win. This is not a win. This is not a win. That's definitely not a win. It's like 24 minutes here. I'm not counting that. I think I just counted one game, guys. That's actually crazy. One game where we won without Cole Palmer. That's insane. So yeah, we won one game last season without Cole Palmer. Now, this season, and I don't have to count it like I did just now. Why we're not Cole Palmer FC? I wrote it all down. Like I said, guys, I had to go through the whole fucking spiel. Okay. Oh no, these aren't my notes. These are my notes. Okay. Bournemouth away, we won without Cole Palmer. West Ham away, we won without Cole Palmer. Leicester away, we won without Cole Palmer. Southampton away, we won without Cole Palmer. Brentford home, we won without Cole Palmer. Wolves home, we won without Cole Palmer. 6 games out of, how many do we got? 6 games out of 23 where we were able to get a win without Cole Palmer. Yeah, Cole Palmer FC. There's a reason we were called Cole Palmer FC last season, and I agree with it. There was one game where we won without Cole Palmer. We were not able to win games without Cole Jermaine Palmer in the lineup. This season, I just named you 6 games we won without Cole Palmer. So I'm not saying bench Cole Palmer, we can win without Cole Palmer. I'm just saying it's not impossible. We have won games without Cole Palmer. Poch over-relied on Cole Palmer to win him games. And what's it called? MARESCA's not doing that. That's not a MARESCA. So, yeah, you want to say MARESCA shit because he's relying on Cole Palmer and he's Cole Palmer FC? Yeah, try again. Try again. You know what? I won't tell you. Fofana will.
No. You try again.
That's what it sounds like.
No, try again.
Miss me with that shit. Listen, this side, would I rather have Cole Palmer on the side? We will struggle without Cole Palmer, but doesn't mean we can't win without Cole Palmer. Last season, you could say that, and I'd agree with you. Yeah, without Cole Palmer, we can't really win. But without Cole Palmer this season, because we have a system, because MARESCA isn't that bad of a manager or a head coach, we can win without Cole Palmer. But MARESCA's bad because he over-relies on Cole Palmer. He overplays him. I'll agree with you on that. But he doesn't over-rely on the guy, because we've seen, if we're looking at the goals and assists, there's 6 games where we won without a goal and assist from Cole Palmer. So, there's that. Cole Palmer FC being an argument in 2024 or 2025. Yeah. Grow up. Give it up. Okay. So, this is where things are going to get a little bit more detailed, I would say. And I am getting towards the end. I got another point after this, and then we'll call it. But the 5th point I have, he has his favorites: rotation, man management over minutes. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. So I asked someone in my community, who will not be named, to give me their best 11, right? And they did. And I think, just to be fair, he said this is a one-off, but we're going to run with this best 11, right? Let me pull it up right now. Best 11. Cool. Look at how many players you got on the bench. Okay? Not even on the bench, but in the squad. Sancho. All right, let's go to the 11. Sanchez is the goalkeeper, right? Did I put Jurgensen in this list? I didn't put Jurgensen in this list. I should have. But Sancho's, right? In this best 11, you got Cucurella, Chalobah, Reece James. So Colwell's dropped. Fernandez and Caicedo in the middle with Neto, I guess. Yeah, Neto comes up as a winger. Felix and Palmer as 10s. This is kind of a no. So Felix goes into a 10. Neto becomes the wing. Jackson is a striker, and Gusto as an inverting right back. Cool. So with this, right? He has his favorites. Man management over minutes. I feel like we live in a day and age where people think every game you have to make all 5 of your subs, and that every game you have to give people minutes, even if we're winning or losing. Like it's fucking FIFA. Like it's routine substitutions. That's not how it works. And another thing to keep in mind, people, MARESCA isn't a millennial. So, and this is a good point brought up to me by a colleague. These managers are actually used to 3 subs. Remember, guys, there was a time where there was only 3 subs allowed. That's how they grew up. That's how they learned the game. And that's how they would tactician a game, keeping in mind that they have 3 subs. So the 5 sub rule is still very new, something that managers are still very much getting used to. And this is something that's still hardwired into people's brains, right? And on top of it too, you don't want to use all your subs because what happens if your player gets hurt? You do take that risk. But I'm supposed to believe that with 5 subs, you're supposed to manage all these players' minutes and make them all happy. Mind you, again, Conference League doesn't count, right? So these players don't want to play Conference League. They're going to see it as insulting. So if you want to just do the Premier League and you want to accuse MARESCA of bad man management because he doesn't rotate the squad, because he doesn't give players enough minutes, because there's plenty of minutes to give players, because there's plenty of minutes to give the team. Cool. I want to see how you manage 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 16, 17. I'll say 16 just to be generous. Okay. You have 5 substitutions every game. Manage it. It's MARESCA's fault. It's MARESCA's fault he doesn't know how to manage 16 plus players. That is not a problem built by MARESCA, by the way. That is a problem that the sporting directors put on MARESCA. And you know what I forgot to do, guys? I forgot to show you Potter's squad. But you know what's crazy? Back when Potter had the same issue, people were saying, yeah, Potter got done dirty. But when it comes to MARESCA, no, MARESCA's just shit. He should be able to manage minutes a lot better. Oh, okay. Some of you are absolutely fucking fools. I'll be so honest with you. Absolute fucking fools. And then some of you will sit here and tell me, oh, but fuck the Sassy. He doesn't need minutes. Fuck Sanchez. Fuck Tosin. Oh, okay. So fuck those players that need minutes. They're part of the team too. Who cares? Just as long as your favorite player gets minutes. Cool. That's all that matters. All that matters is that your favorite player gets minutes. That's fair, right? That it's fair that your favorite player gets minutes. Go fuck yourself. He has to manage his whole squad. There has to be harmony in the locker room. What happened when a manager actually had favorites? You had Ziyech, you had Pulisic writing articles about Thomas Tuchel. Ziyech putting an attitude. You had Kepa saying shit behind Lampard's back and to the other players that were out of favor. I'm not hearing any of that this season. And we'll get to the individual players I'm discussing that I think have been the ones that have been associated with moves out because we've fostered a bad environment for them. MARESCA has fostered a bad environment for them. Remember, guys, this is all MARESCA's fault. MARESCA doesn't know how to manage 16 more players than his starting 11 in the Premier League. Because the Conference League doesn't count, guys. The Conference League doesn't count. These players don't want to be in the Conference League. They want to play the Premier League. And it's MARESCA's fault that he doesn't know how to rotate the squad properly. And MARESCA's fault that doesn't know how to be fair with minutes. Okay, cool. Let's get into it. Let's get into it. Let's talk about it. Nkunku, culprit number one. He's the one that doesn't want to be in his team in terms of what it looks like on the pitch. He's the one that doesn't want to try on the pitch, doesn't look like he cares for the pitch and all that stuff. Sure. And I'm doing my best to account for injuries. I just saw that comment. I'm doing the best to account for injuries. It's very hard to... We would be here forever if I had to analyze the squad game week after game week to do the minutes thing. Okay? But I will be fair in regards to the injuries. And I'm going to be fair in regards to the players that were given minutes and whatnot. I will. I promise you. Nkunku's lack of effort is him protecting himself. Oh, okay, so he had a really bad injury last season, and that's the reason why he's not trying this season. He's trying to protect himself. That's a good argument, guys. That's a good argument. If you don't get the fuck out of here with that stupid argument. You literally have Pedro Neto on the pitch, who we all know is injury prone. Yet, we can all see he's trying out there. He runs, he defends. He plays a very, very busy part of the pitch. A winger. Wingers need to run. Wingers need to do a lot of work. They need to sprint. They need to beat the man. Neto, who has injuries his whole season, just like Nkunku. But I'm supposed to believe that Nkunku's not trying because he's protecting himself. Okay. Fine. You know what? Yellow card. Because I am offended by the fact that you are insulting my intelligence by telling me, oh, Nkunku's protecting himself. That's why he's not trying. Reece James puts in a shift every time he comes back from injury. That guy's injuries have been ruining his career. But I'm supposed to believe you can't show effort because your injuries. He doesn't even move that much on the pitch. But you can tell he's trying. You can tell he puts in a shift. People, I'm not making this up. These are actual arguments that have been brought up to me and that I've had to actually sit here, brain rot, and actually argue with people about. And this is on MARESCA. Even Lavia, who's been injury prone, even he puts on shifts. You could tell he makes a difference in the game. But I'm supposed to believe that Nkunku's protecting himself. What are we talking about? And then the other one, right? The other one. Okay, guys, I got you. Hold on, let me go back, right? Okay, cool. I'll save this just in case I need it, okay? Nkunku's played out of position. Oh, I love this argument. This is great. Yeah. So, because a player is played out of position, he's allowed to, not look that great. Yeah, because Reece James can't play 3-4 positions. Yeah, because Jackson didn't put on a shift at left wing. Because I literally had Ruben Loftus-Cheek play right wing back for Thomas Tuchel and put on a shift. But because he's out of position, that's why he's shit. Because he's out of position, that's why he's not playing well. Eat a fucking dick. And on top of it too, I looked into the positions and the amount of times, the positioning map, right? And the amount of times these players have played in their respective positions. Fam, I got you. You want to waffle about how Christopher Nkunku doesn't play in his position? Cool. He has played in his position. He has played in his position 7 times. And there's even a more detailed one that tells you how many times he's played as a shadow striker. How many times he's played at left wing. He did play at left wing again at some point, actually. I remember that. I forgot about that. Holy shit. What game was it? I think it was a conference league match, actually. He played left wing. Oh, no. 2 games in the... Yeah. What game was it, though? I can't remember. And I'm not even having it, guys, because last game against Man City, he was all over the pitch. He had liberties. He was playing like as a free roam 10, and he still stunk it up. And listen, I'm not going to sit here and say MARESCA doesn't have somewhat to blame. MARESCA does have somewhat to blame, right? He should have been getting more minutes off the bench. Let's just be honest. Because all of us here, like I said, the season isn't just the last 7 matches. The season's been going on for a lot more than just the last 7 matches. So prior to those 7 matches, Jackson was scoring goals. Jackson was getting assists. The biggest buzzword, the trigger warning, guys, trigger warning. Jackson was pressing. Something Nkunku doesn't do. Oh, he doesn't press. Oh no, you said it. You said he can't press. Oh, how can you say that about Nkunku? What striker needs to shut up? If you can't press, which is such a fundamental part of this goddamn system, of this goddamn game. Look at Liverpool's team. Look at City's team. Look at Arsenal when they were doing well. What did they do well? They pressed. And Nkunku can't do that. So how the fuck am I supposed to do anything when he can't do that shit? How the fuck am I supposed to play him over someone who can actually follow instructions? Oh, he's protecting himself. He's too good of a player to press. This is coming from someone who actually really liked Nkunku. I really like Nkunku. I think he's a fucking phenomenal player. I think he potentially can be a world-class player. And it's a damn fucking shame that he can't work out at Chelsea, because I would love to have a world-class Nkunku at fucking Chelsea. That's the standard. But that motherfucker's not playing like he's world-class. Oh, but he's playing the Conference League. Why would he try? If you can't show up in the Conference League, why the fuck would I trust you in the Premier League? Oh no, he'll turn up. He'll turn up in the Premier League. How many games have we seen Nkunku play in the Premier League when he's had starts and it's just been blah, lackluster? We want more because you're a better player. And I think to an extent, me in my head, I had a different idea of Nkunku. And I think a lot of fans had a different idea of Nkunku. So it does sway your opinion on him. And I accept that, right? I accept that he's a shadow striker. I accept that he doesn't fit the system. That's not on MARESCA. That's on Nkunku. That's on how we have recruited. And you could tell I'm getting heated because I have these arguments with people all the time. And it's like, why is this an argument for you? Like, why isn't Nkunku an exception to the rule? Part of the reason we won a Champions League was because Tuchel got us to gegenpress. You know what gegenpress means? You know what that is? That's how aggressive you press and you dispossess your opposition higher up the pitch. That's aggressive pressing. Pressing is an important part of the game. It's not just a single fundamental, which it should be, by the way. It's an important part of a system and tactics. Why do you think we fucking lost against Man City? We stopped pressing. No more errors from Man City. No more opportunities because we weren't pressing them anymore. And I put Jackson on that too because Jackson is at the foot off the gas pedal. But you know what? Jackson in the first part of the season was benching Nkunku. And don't let anyone tell you differently. He was benching Nkunku. Why? Because he was doing well in the Premier League. He was getting goals. He was involved. He was pressing. He was getting assists. Why the fuck would I bench a player that's working for me in the Premier League? What type of precedence does that send? Oh, I'm going to punish you because Nkunku. Because overall, he's a better player. So I'm going to bench you because, because Nkunku. We want to sit here and do performances and be fair and all this shit. But when it comes to Nkunku, nah, it's Nkunku, man. Nah. He's my 90 rated Nkunku, bro. Play him. What are we doing? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. You ever heard of that one? Jackson was getting output. If I take Jackson off, what is that going to do for his mentality? If he's doing nothing wrong, it could boost him and make him more competitive. It could. Or you take the risk of now making a player bitter about the manager. I was scoring goals. Why'd you bench me? And Nkunku was scoring goals too, don't get me wrong. And there was an argument to give Nkunku more minutes. I disagree with this fact that Nkunku should be playing 10 minutes, 5 minutes off the bench. That's stupid. And I criticized MARESCA about this already with the in-game management. First half hour of the stream, if you want the criticism. But I'm not going to sit here and have this argument that, oh, we didn't rotate Nkunku well enough and that's a problem. That's MARESCA's fault. Motherfucker, if Jackson was playing shit in the beginning of the season, then I'll have that argument because Nkunku was scoring goals. But the problem is Jackson was scoring goals. And Jackson was following the system. We do all this praise for MARESCA, right? In the beginning of the season. But we forget some of the things that he said that we gave him praise on. Let me show you an example. Let me show you an example, people. And yeah, this is an extended Chelsea hour. I'm well aware now. Sucks, but hey, I have so many things to get off my chest because this topic of MARESCA out with the reasons that I've been given genuinely pissed me off.
Like they're really buying into your ideas and you're putting a real stamp on that team. What pleased you the most about the performance?
No, very happy, but it's quite easy. If they don't buy, they don't play. So there is not. There is not.
If they don't buy, they don't play. The players knew this. If you don't buy, you don't play. João Felix bought. He's gotten starts in the Premier League. He gets more minutes off the bench than Nkunku. For the most part. If you don't buy, you don't play. But I'm supposed to sit here and feel bad for Nkunku and the rotation of some of these players. When, to be so frank with you, the players on the pitch were performing better. And this idea, and mind you, I literally, okay, maybe you guys don't agree with me on this one. Maybe I'm old school. Someone said to me, quote unquote, you don't need to spam your best against the bottom half of the league. Cool. Okay, sure. In an ideal world, you don't have to. We don't live in an ideal world. Let me show you guys something. Don't need to spam your best 11 against the bottom half of the league. Okay. So surely the best team in the league right now isn't doing that, right? They're giving fair chances to their youth and all that, right? Liverpool versus Ipswich. Allison, right? He's a bench player, right? He's not part of the best 11. Oh, okay. Konate and Van Dijk. No, it's Joe Gomez and Matip, right? Matip is still in the club, right? He's the bench players. You don't need to play 3 best 11, right? Trent Alexander-Arnold. He's not part of the best 11, right? Robertson, that's questionable to be honest. Let's be honest. Gravenberch. You don't need to play Gravenberch, man. What the fuck? He's not part of your best 11. You don't need Gravenberch to win these games. McAllister, Mo Salah, Szoboszlai, Gakpo, Luis Diaz. Okay, cool. That's just one game, right, guys? Against Wolves. Oh, look at these guys. They look familiar. Szoboszlai, I just saw him against Ipswich. Salah, McAllister, Gravenberch, Robertson, Van Dijk, Konate, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Allison. I just saw them against Ipswich. I thought that was the bench team. I thought you didn't need your best 11 to put away these sides. Luis Diaz, you were playing the last game too. Oh, okay. Okay, you don't need your bet. Okay, cool. You know what? Me as a Chelsea fan in 6th place, I know better than the 1st place team, right? Yeah, you don't need to bet. Hey. You don't need to pay your best 11 to get results against the bottom half of the league. Southampton. Oh, oh, look at that. Yo, Salah, my G, what's good, bro? Konate, Van Dijk, Robertson. What's good? What's good? Bullshit. It's fucking bullshit. It's bullshit because a manager like Arne Slot, who is at the top of the league, has his best 11, his favorites. But his lack of rotation, because he doesn't rotate the squad. That's why he's in 1st place. He doesn't know how to rotate the squad. Shut the fuck up, dude. Shut the fuck up. I get it. This is a better side. I get it. You're trying to establish your best 11. But once you get your best 11, you don't change it that often. Look what happened to us last season. How many changes we made, and look at how inconsistent we were. You don't make partnerships by constantly changing your side. You don't make partnerships and chemistry. You don't develop chemistry by constantly changing your side. Even Jurgen Klopp mostly rotated his wingers. Not even, actually. He mostly had the same starting 11 over and over and over again. I know you rotate your side because you need to manage minutes and all that stuff. I get that. That's different than constantly changing your best 11. That's different than saying, oh, I'm going to play youth against Southampton because they should be good enough to get me a result. Let me show you something. This is our rotated side against Ipswich. You know, surely we don't need to go for that best 11 to beat bottom half sides, right? I'll continue. Southampton, 5-1. Okay, it worked out here. Against the bottom half, we got Nkunku and João Felix. Pretty rotated side. With the Sassi back there, Malagusto, no Levi Colwell. Even Jurgensen played. Cool. Next game. And this is recent form, by the way. And what I showed you was recent matches where these teams played lower league sides. Everton. Our best 11 against a lower league side. Or one of our best 11s. Actually, I would say this is our best 11 minus Tosin and Disasi. And maybe Gusto. So defensively, right? We couldn't get a win. But I'm supposed to believe that I don't need my best 11 to get results against the bottom half of the table. Cool. That's why Liverpool are in first and Chelsea are not. Because Liverpool don't rotate their best 11 to get victories with the bottom half of the table. Arne Slot persists with his best 11 to get victories against the bottom half of the table. Because the Premier League is a hard league and you can't overestimate anyone. As we as Chelsea fans have learned. Our defense is just peach. Oh my God, bro. Rotations cause way too many inconsistencies. And again, I might be confused by that, right? And listen, my point in bringing it up, Shard, is that people want to blame MARESCA for persisting with the same 11 and not rotating the squad. But you see what happens when we rotate the squad. We lose against Ipswich. Arne Slot doesn't need to rotate the squad. He plays the same best 11 over and over again. But when MARESCA does it, it's a criticism on MARESCA. MARESCA has no good man management skills. It's MARESCA's fault that he can't manage minutes. In game, I'll give you that. In game, he needs to do better about substitutions. But I'm not rotating a squad to play a bottom half of the league table. I'm sorry. You put your best 11 out there. You establish your best 11. You put your best 11. That best 11 gets comfortable with one another, playing with one another. You see improvements in chemistry and so on and so forth. Your best 11 doesn't get rotated. You don't build a team from rotating. That's how you get what happened last season. We had so many inconsistencies because of constant rotation last season, especially in the defense. And people will tell you that. And again, when asked, right? When I'm being asked, and I could be wrong about this, guys. Again, I will hold that I may be wrong about this, right? When I ask what side constantly rotates, and does what side has one that has constantly rotated their side? Okay. Exhibit B. Let me show you. Pep's Man City. They constantly rotate, right? I hate to burst your bubble, but Pep doesn't constantly rotate. Pep has to account for injuries, so players do come in and out, but he plays his best 11 as well, especially in the Premier League. Again, Conference League doesn't count, guys. It has to be in the Premier League. You got to rotate in the Premier League. It's your fault if you can't do it. But you got to rotate in the Premier League. Okay, let's look at this. Look at the minutes played, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Once you get past Ake, the best 11, right? Give or take, right? Because Julian Alvarez was playing when Erling Haaland wasn't around. So Julian was getting a lot more minutes, right? You had this season. This is last season, by the way. Kevin De Bruyne was out for a lot of the season. So that's how you had Bernardo Silva playing more often or Phil Foden playing more often, right? Still, 11 of these players have over 2,000 minutes in the Premier League season. Right? What does that tell me? And look at how drastically the minutes drop off once you go from 2,000. Doku, which is constantly rotated in and out, which I said to people. Pep likes to rotate his wingers. We know this. Jeremy Doku, 1,500, almost 1,600 minutes. Jack Grealish, 1,000 minutes. Look at how drastically the minutes drop off outside of those 11. I guarantee you, if Kevin De Bruyne were fit last season, one of these midfielders in here, whether it be Alvarez, because Alvarez was playing as a 10 at times, whether it be Phil Foden, one of these players' minutes dropped to less than 2,000. But I'm supposed to believe this is a well-rotated side, right? He does rotate. He does rotate, but he doesn't rotate the whole entire team. He has a spine. He has his best 11, and he plays at best 11. In comparison to Chelsea this season. Oh, shit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 players. Oh, wait. Is this in the Premier League? No, it's just total. Okay, sorry. I'll go into the Premier League, guys. I'll be fair. This could debunk my whole argument, actually, funny enough. Oh, man. It's crazy shit. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Outside of Jadon Sancho, once you get past Jadon Sancho and Fofana, once you get past Fofana, it drops down to less than 1,000 minutes. But I'm supposed to believe, and again, because Pep does it, it's okay. But when MARESCA does it, it's a criticism on the manager. He needs to rotate his players more often to give players fair minutes. Conference League doesn't count. And I keep emphasizing that because people are telling me, Now these players aren't happy because they're playing Conference League. It's disrespectful of them to play Conference League. He's not managing them right. He's creating an environment in which players want to leave. This is what I'm hearing, people. This is Maresca's fault. Even though Maresca wasn't the one that that made this squad so bloated. It's on the sport. Look, this is a fucking huge squad, dude. But this is Maresca's fault. Maresca's fault. He needs to manage their players' minutes better and rotate them in the Premier League because Conference League doesn't count. Cool, dude. Cool, dude. Keep blaming Maresca for doing something that's nearly fucking impossible. Keep blaming Maresca for giving minutes to his best 11, just like Pep Guardiola does. But Maresca's bad for doing that. Cool. Awesome. Great argument. Great argument. And I just told you guys, even last season, in the Premier League, Pep doesn't rotate that often. He has given minutes to players. There have been injuries that go in and out. But if Maresca rotated as often as people like to say, then why is Julian Alvarez gone? Why did Cole Palmer leave? Why did Lavia leave? These are players that, from their youth system, didn't get a chance to even get minutes into the system. Like I said, if you don't buy, you don't play. I said that earlier, right? Let's move on to the fifth and final point, because I do need to head out and I need to close this out. All right? And I said, 5, creating an environment players want to leave. Yes! Yes, that's Maresca's fault. It's Maresca's fault that he has created an environment that players want to leave. I showed you the video. If they don't buy, they don't play. Right? Cool. Cool. If they don't buy, they don't play. These players are playing minutes. And these players are using Conference League to prove that they should be playing the Premier League. It's used as a competitive platform to get them to play minutes in the Premier League. We've seen it done with Neto. Neto has been, quote unquote, promoted from Conference League to Premier League. Nani has been demoted and promoted up and down, up and down. Jadon Sancho promoted. Like, this is a platform in which if you impress in this competition, in the Carabao Cup, in the FA Cup, you get a chance to prove yourself off the bench in the Premier League. I don't know at what point in society, at what point in football culture, we decided that players are entitled to minutes in the Premier League, and that even if they don't try in these other cups because it's lower competition, it's disrespectful. Why would they try? That all of a sudden I should be trusting them with the bread and butter that is the Premier League. I don't know when this turnaround happened. I think it's weird. I think it's bizarre. But for me, creating an environment in which players want to leave. Someone literally said, Poch lost players by injuring them, but Maresca is losing players by not playing them. That's a criticism on Maresca. But when Guardiola does it, it's fine. Guardiola, the same manager that lost... Let's go through the list, guys, because I went through this earlier in the season. The same manager that lost Pedro Porro, the same manager that lost Cole Palmer, the same manager that lost Lavia, the same manager that lost Delap, the same manager that lost Alvarez, the same manager that lost... Who else do we got in there? Because, you know, he doesn't create an environment in which players want to leave, right? He's perfect. Stick it where the sun don't shine, dude. Yeah, he was winning. That's fine. That's fine. But regardless, even if you're winning, players are still leaving. Players want to play. Some players only care about winning. But players want to play. Alvarez was winning. Why did he want to leave? Probably because he wanted to get first team minutes. Cole Palmer was winning. Why did he want to leave? Probably because he wanted to get first team minutes. Lavia had potential. Lavia could have stayed in the academy. He didn't see a route into the first team. Players leave because they don't see routes into the first teams. Players leave because they give up. Some players stay and fight for their place. You have the Phil Fodens in there. You have the Oscar Bobs in there. Rico Lewis's. But don't be surprised if players like... Who's the one player they have right now that is barely getting any minutes? He's finally getting minutes, even though he should have been getting minutes early onset. What's his name? Damn it, chat. I need help. Damn it. By the way, I'm not... You need to watch the stream to understand why I keep bringing up the Conference League. Who's the player? McAtee. There you go. I wouldn't be surprised if McAtee next season gets a move. Because Pep doesn't harbor an environment in which players want to leave. I think that's such bullshit. And to pin it on MARESCA for making an environment in which players want to leave when you have... I showed you guys. Remember the bench. Remember the bench. I'll show you again because some of you may have forgotten. Remember the bench. Because MARESCA isn't giving 16 players outside of his top 11 minutes in the Premier League. He is now harboring an environment in which players want to leave. Not the sporting directors. It's just MARESCA. This is MARESCA's fault. Yeah. Eat my scrum. It's such illogical bullshit. No manager, Pep, Jurgen, Tuchel, anyone you name, Hansi Flick, no manager is going to be able to give you an environment in which these players will remain happy without first team minutes when you have this many players to manage. This many players to manage. And on top of that, you're putting it on an inexperienced manager to do that? I know MARESCA walked into this. I know MARESCA was fully aware of what he was getting into. But now you want to say that he is harboring an environment in which players want to move? No. Managers do that. Managers play their best 11. They stick with their best 11. And if these players give up and they don't want to try to fight for a place, they move on. It happens all the time. It happens in all of football. It happens in City all the time. It happens at Liverpool all the time. It happens at fucking Arsenal. So what are we saying? Why are we blaming MARESCA for not giving minutes to 16 other players in the Premier League? Because I already debunked this point that, oh, you don't have to play your best 11 against lower league sides. Well, apparently you fucking do because we lose those games, even with our best 11. So why the fuck would I rotate my team just because I want to keep them happy? You know what, Guiu? I want you to play a few games because you deserve some minutes. Yeah. And you know what, Cole? I want you to be benched for a little bit. I got to give Nkunku minutes in the 10 just to make him happy. KDH, you too, man. You get some minutes as well. We got to make you happy. Fuck the results. We just got to make these players happy. I don't want to foster an environment in which players want to leave. Absolute fucking waffle. Do you want to win or do you want to make players happy? If you want to make players happy, get on your knees. That's all I'm going to say. Get on your knees, get in the Cobham locker room, and get to work. That's one way to make them happy. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And then, okay, so let's be real, right? Who are the players that are unhappy? Who are the players that want to leave? I got a list for you, okay? And we'll go over each of these players. And mind you, I want to point out something too. People want to say, oh, they're not getting enough minutes and all this and that and all this bullshit. All right, bro. Okay, let me show you something. Let me show you how Pep developed a player. Let me show you the minutes that Pep was giving certain mandem. Okay? This is Philip Walter Foden. Okay? This is 2021, the season we won the Champions League. I wish we were playing Champions League because we would be giving these players Champions League minutes, right? And those minutes count, as they should. It's a really competitive league. I understand that. Look at how many minutes he's getting in the Prem. Less than 2,000. 1,600 in the whole entire season. But Foden's upset because he's not getting enough minutes in the Prem. Can I show you the Champions League? Not Champions League, Premier League. Rotated, gets minutes here and there. But he wasn't playing that many minutes. He wasn't a starter. He was getting... When we get to the end of the season, look at how many games on the bench. When we get to the end of the season and we look at the minutes racked up, I guarantee you it's going to be oddly similar to Phil Foden with some of these youngsters. I'm talking Achimpong. I'm talking, Vega, who's gone now. He's not here. Just in general. The minutes, you'll see, will be balanced and it'll be similar to Phil Foden. Mind you, this is a player that MARESCA has coached. This is the minutes he was getting. Less than 2,000. Starters were getting about 2,000 minutes, as we saw. But Phil Foden in 2020, was getting less than 2,000 minutes. 1,600. That's a rotational player. Gets subbed on. That's how he was developed. Now he gets over 2,000 minutes because he's a starter. But anyways, I digress. Exhibit 1. Okay. Cesar Cassidy, one of the players that are linked with a move out, right? He's a victim of the environment that MARESCA made. Bullshit. He's not a victim of the environment MARESCA made. He's a victim of the environment the sporting directors made. MARESCA wasn't the one that recalled him from his loan early last season. MARESCA isn't the one that signed 5 other cams to play ahead of Cesar Cassidy. MARESCA's trying to give him minutes. If we didn't have Conference League, Cesar Cassidy would have 0 minutes. But Conference League doesn't count. This season, the player's gotten 424 minutes. And I feel bad for the player. I think there's a lot of potential in the player. I wish he'd play more as a cam. But even as a CDM, he's been putting on a shift. He's not been bad as a shift, as a CDM. He's been okay, which is what I want for someone playing out of position, to be okay. And there's a lot of potential. There's a ceiling there. We don't even have 5 cams. Carney Chukwemeka, João Felix, Nkunku, Cole Palmer. There's one more in there. Oh, KDH. They can all play the 10 and they all prefer the 10. So we do have 5 cams. Maybe you didn't realize that, but we do have 5 cams. Yeah. And some of these cams aren't getting any minutes at all. And we'll get to that. There are some players that I do blame on MARESCA. That MARESCA, you should have been rotating these players more. You should have been giving these players more minutes. And you had minutes to give them. Even in the Conference League. Because I count the Conference League. So, Cesar Cassidy. This one is not on MARESCA. This is on the ownership. These are the preferred positions, DHL. They're all the preferred positions are cams. You look at their history, their stats, they like the cam position. This includes João Felix. This includes Nkunku, all that stuff. I'm not talking about how they're being used this season. This player not wanting to be at Chelsea isn't MARESCA's fault. Is my point. This is on the sporting directors. Next one. Kiernan Dewsbury Hall. Another one that apparently it's MARESCA's fault that he wants to leave the club. 934 minutes total for Chelsea. Let's be honest, guys. This player is just not good enough. He's not good enough. He wasn't even Maresca's first pick from Leicester. Maresca wanted his goalkeeper, Hermanson, which we've gone over on this channel multiple times. Not only that, there are better attacking 10s ahead of him. I'm sorry. I'm not picking KDH ahead of Cole Palmer, even as a rotation. I'm sorry. I'm not picking Carney. I'm sorry. I'm not picking him ahead of João Felix. Fuck it. I'll even say this. I'm not picking him ahead of Nkunku as a 10. I believe Nkunku as a 10 is a better player. It's yet to be seen. Maybe KDH is better at him this season in that 10 position in terms of the performances they can provide. But I'm not putting him there. I'm not rotating Enzo Fernandez. Well, I might actually. Actually, to be fair, that's actually not a bad shout. There might be some games where you'll rotate for a few minutes, not even rotate, take off for substitution. Enzo Fernandez to rest his leg for the last 20 minutes, 10 minutes, that you give to KDH. But you had Lavia for a bit there. You have Cucurella that can play in an 8. Like, it's let's be realistic. There's not really many positions where I put KDH ahead of other players. Other than maybe as a substitute minutes for Enzo Fernandez. And that's where I'm getting at. How is that Maresca's fault? How is that Maresca's fault? That is not on Maresca that he wants to leave. It's on the recruitment for recruiting the way they did. And getting this player when we don't even need him. We didn't need another Cam. We needed a center mid, like a proper center mid, which he isn't. He can play it, but he's not a proper center mid. We needed another 6, which he's not. It's on the sporting directors. And Maresca's job is to do the best he can with what he has. Next player. Axel Disasi. Another one where, let's be honest, guys, he's just not good enough. He's a good player in the dressing room, so on and so forth. But he's not good enough. He's not good enough. And you guys know that. You guys know he's not good enough. So a lot of you want him out of the club. This literally, Maresca came out and said that he didn't want him. And mind you, part of the argument too is that I told the people that these players aren't good enough. But then people tell me, oh, you said this about Poch last season. No. Disasi is realistically the only one. He's the only one that actually played under Poch, like legitimately. Had good amount of time and sample size to see if this player is actually good enough. Carney was hurt, Chilwell was hurt, so on and so forth. And JP, you just said do it the best of what he has, but he isn't utilizing his tools. That's the issue. Yeah, because the tools suck. The tools suck, and the tools aren't to fit his system. Why do you think the Sasi's been forced to play at right back multiple times? Because he's trying to shoehorn him in. It doesn't fit his system. So that's, again, on the recruitment. That's not on Maresca. That's the point I'm trying to get at. The point I'm trying to get at here overall, guys, is that these are players that it's Maresca's fault that they want to leave the club. And I'm just trying to pinpoint that it's on the recruitment and the players that they're getting him that he doesn't want, that doesn't fit his system. Just like I don't blame Antonio Conte for not being able to work with the players that he was given in that 17-18 window or the 18-19. No, it was 17-18 window. Where they got him freaking, who they get him? Batshuayi and Zappacosta and shit like that. That's why I agree. He doesn't need to play him at right back. And big up Jacob. He doesn't need to play him at right back. I hate that he's played him at right back. In fact, I should have actually made that a criticism that he keeps persisting with Axel Disasi at right back, but I forgot, and I was doing this late night. So big up JP. Thank you for reminding me. That is a criticism as well. He keeps persisting on playing him at right back. But to be honest, there are better center backs ahead of him. Big up Jacob. Thank you for the raid. Much appreciated, people. This is an extended Chelsea Hour show that's going on for 2 hours. It's supposed to be only an hour. but I had a lot going on. I'm going on a huge tirade because I want to dismiss this notion that MARESCA is at fault for all these things that people keep saying he's at fault for. But big up. If you're new here, subscribe. If you like the content, smash the like button and check out the links in the description. Big up Jacob. Big up United Spurs of America. Thank you so much for your the support or the raid. Axel Disasi is not better than Colwell. You know what? Let's just keep it simple. He's the bottom of the list of the pecking order. So how is it MARESCA's fault that he wants to leave when he can't get ahead of the center backs that we have at our club that are more useful to MARESCA and getting the results than Disasi? So what does MARESCA have to do to keep him happy? Shoehorn him in Conference League minutes at right back. And then when he tries to do that again in Premier League, which I criticize him for, thank you for reminding me, which I criticize for, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. But you have to keep the player happy, right? You have to give him minutes. That's not on MARESCA. He doesn't have to keep him happy. He has to be ruthless. Cool, man. Cool. And how did that work out for Thomas Tuchel? How did that work out for any player when they have that one player that's upset in the dressing room talking to everyone else? Why do you think Ben Chilwell isn't involved with the team? He's only involved in training. He's not invited to the dressing room. Because all it takes is this one player to talk with all the other players, get a group chat going to disrupt everything. Because the players will back each other. You have to keep everyone happy. DHL, I'm talking about it because people actually do blame it on MARESCA. That's why. I know you guys maybe don't blame it, and that's fine. I'm not talking about you. But there are people who actually blame this environment of players wanting to leave, like a Disasi, like a Cassidy, on MARESCA. Then get the bad egg out of the club. That's the thing. If you have the bad egg, it can do a lot of damage up until the point you get him out of the club. You can't get the player out of the club. Imagine if Chilwell was still in the squad. You would have had to wait up until January to get him out of the club. And think about all the damage he would have done in that time being. The seeds you plant, the attitudes you start to spread on people. You kind of just have to hold off until it fixes itself. So I don't blame MARESCA. Again, this is my opinion, right? I don't blame MARESCA for this. I blame the sporting directors for giving him this. I blame the sporting directors for putting him in this position. A position he walked into, but a position he's not being helped in. Let's go to the next one. Tosin Adarbayo. He's been linked with moves out of the club too. 1,452 minutes. Did I even write any notes on Tosin? No, not really. I think Tosin still falls under the same category as Disasi, really. Not really good enough, but he has been getting minutes. I think he understands the situation. He's mature, so he's not putting up much of a fuss. I don't think he's adding into this environment that players don't want to be here. So I could be wrong about that, but I'll read the comments after my stream. Oh, shit. I put the wrong thing. Okay, next player. João Felix. Whoa. João Felix. Whoa. All right. So Felix is a unique one. Felix is one that, in my opinion, it's a 50-50 toss-up. He might want to leave the club. He might want to stay at the club. I don't know. It's a weird one because he's being linked with moves out of the club. But again, they're links that, like, they're not... Chelsea are saying they wouldn't be opposed to selling him, but Chelsea wouldn't be opposed to selling any player, really. Let's be honest. Profit, baby. But here's my point with Felix. MARESCA didn't even want him to begin with. He was really forced onto MARESCA. That's on the directors. MARESCA didn't want the player. You guys know this. You've been told this. The reports are out there. You've been told this. And just because another team is interested in a player doesn't mean that we're trying to sell the player. doesn't mean that the player wants to leave. There's just interest there. The thing about Felix, though, and the reason I put him in this vague category of maybe he wants to leave, maybe he wants to stay. Because when he does go out on the pitch, he tries. He doesn't look like Nkunku. He actually does try. He puts in an effort. He tracks back. He tries to press. And he has improved so far this season, in my opinion. I know you guys disagree, but in my opinion, I think he's improved this season. And he does get starts sometimes, and he does get minutes off the bench. So I don't know if he actually wants to leave Chelsea. Maybe he does because he can't get ahead of Palmer. Or maybe he's happy with the situation. I just don't know with this one. That's why I kind of leave it at a blank, at a vague one. I think for a player that MARESCA didn't even want, MARESCA's been handling it pretty well. And I don't blame MARESCA for this player either. Again, this was an opportunity by the sporting directors, put this player on MARESCA and said, hey, improve him, please. You don't have a say in this. Even though he needed a striker. We said, like, we want Samu, but our boy George Mendes, we got to help him out. So here, take him, please. That's not on MARESCA. That is not on MARESCA. But then again, if we don't give him enough minutes and Felix starts to throw a hissy fit and he starts pushing for a move, which it could be happening right now. I don't know if George Mendes is looking for his client or that's something that Felix has asked George Mendes to do. But then I start to change and be like, okay, now it's on you, MARESCA. You're not giving the player minutes. He wants to leave, right? But as far as I'm aware right now, I don't know if he does want to leave. I don't know. I can't say here with certainty he wants to leave. Next player. And mind you, look at all the positions he's played. Okay, who's this player? Our boy Nkunku. Yeah, let's be real. Nkunku wants to. Well, actually, doesn't Nkunku want to leave? No. Well, yeah, no. Nkunku does want to leave. Sorry. Nkunku does want to leave, but am I blaming MARESCA for this one? Sorta. I say sorta because in the first few games of the season, MARESCA probably should have given him a lot more minutes off the bench than he had. However, we over-recruited for that position. There's a lot of factors with Nkunku. We over-recruited for that position, like I just said. 5 cams, right? He had an injury last season that completely fucked up the plan. And I think the plan that Pochettino was trying to do was build a team around Nkunku. Because if you remember preseason last season, he looked electric. He looked like he was linking up really awesomely with Jackson. And things looked promising. But I think that's because Pochettino was building around Nkunku as his main guy. He gets the injury in the preseason, and then Cole Palmer steps up. Cole Palmer steps up, and then Cole Palmer becomes the guy. So in a sense, him not working out at Chelsea is a bit of Cole Palmer as well, and a bit of the injuries. Because let's be honest, if I'm building a team around a certain player, which we were saying last year, Nkunku's the solution, Nkunku's this. If you're not there, then I got to change my plan. If you're the key component to my plan, then my plan can be executed because the key is gone. So that's not on MARESCA, right? Jackson's form, like I said in the beginning of this segment, Jackson was benching. Do not forget, Jackson was benching Christopher Nkunku because he was scoring. He was getting assists. He was doing the press. He was fitting the system. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So for me, you could say Nkunku wanting to leave is because of the minutes he wasn't getting in the beginning of the season. Sure. And now he's at a point where he's fed up. And when he does get the minutes, he doesn't want to try. Sure. That's a theory. I'll give you that. But it could also be the fact that this is a player that was supposed to be built under a different manager. Sporting directors didn't recruit a manager that could take advantage of this player. with all their extensive research, they also recruited a lot of people in that position that they have to keep happy in the 10 position, and so on and so forth. Things that are out of MARESCA's control. So, to an extent, I get why people blame MARESCA for this one. But on the other hand, as well, I kind of see why it's not MARESCA's fault either. Because we should have done a better job of recruiting. Do I have more victims? More victims of the environment? Okay. Carney. This one I do put on MARESCA. To an extent. I put more on MARESCA than Nkunku. Why? He had an injury last season that hurt a lot of his chances, Carney, right? And that could be potentially why Carney isn't playing as much or playing as well. But we know that ever since it's been publicly known that he has a 40 million pound release clause or whatever, the club has been trying to sell the player. So I think, and I'll go over the club at the end, I think that the club is telling MARESCA that please keep this player fit. We are trying to sell him and get money for that release clause. So I think that's part of it. But let's just say that's not, because that's not proven, right? I think that in the Conference League, MARESCA should have been playing him more often. Genuinely, I do. There's no reason why in the Conference League, when we're winning 5-1, 5-0, or whatever, that you can't bring on Carney for 30 minutes to get in shape or to get into the game. There's a good player there, and you know there's a good player there. Maybe he's not as good now because of the injury, but I think even regardless, there's a good player there that just needs to be, put into form. I think you should have been playing him more often in the Conference League. I think he wouldn't be trying to get a move out if you did play him more often. I think it's bullshit that he doesn't fit your system. I think he does fit your system. So for me, when it comes to Carney, I think MARESCA should have been giving him more minutes. This is something that I put on MARESCA. I don't know why he's not giving him minutes. It should be obvious that he should be playing and getting minutes. There's a good player there. But I don't know, guys. That one's a weird one, and then that one I do put on MARESCA. I think Carney should be playing more. And I think number one victim here is Renato Vega, who went over to Juve to play center back and then has an interview and says, I can play center back, I can play left back, I can play whatever the manager wants me to play. Eat a dick. This guy can go. Honestly, this guy can go. Because I defended him, and now he does that shit. Embarrasses me. So, no, he can go as well. But there's no reason why this player shouldn't be getting minutes over a Malo Gusto at left back. That's something I disagree with wholeheartedly. And I said this against Liverpool. I said it against, what else was it? I think Arsenal was another game where that happened. I don't understand this obsession with trying to play Malo Gusto at left back over someone who is actually a left back. So yeah, no shit. If I was Renato Vega and I'm seeing Malo Gusto play ahead of me, I'm fucking getting out of here. I thought I was the backup to Cucurella. But you're not even playing me as the backup to Cucurella. Maybe the recruitment got this one wrong, but I think this is on MARESCA. I don't understand. He just doesn't trust a 20-year-old or something like that? That's something he got from Pep, where he doesn't trust young players. But like, again, what are we doing? You can play him. You have times where you're not going to play Cucurella, play him, and he doesn't play him. So this one I put wholeheartedly on MARESCA. Mind you, I do think there was things that swayed Renato Vega. One being Roberto Martinez in the national team. I think he was talking in his ear and saying, hey, I'll bring you into the World Cup, but you need to play more minutes. I think that was something that swayed him. But regardless, you could have been playing more minutes if MARESCA gave you those minutes, right? And I think another thing that swayed him was, well, actually, yeah, that's pretty much it. I pretty much think that's one thing that swayed him. And that was a big factor as to why he's leaving. But yeah. At the same time, though, like, Renato Vega must have known what he was walking into. But again, I think Renato Vega thought he was going to get backup minutes behind Cucurella, who all of us knew Cucurella was first choice. All of us knew Cucurella was first choice. But you were second choice. I don't understand why Malagusta is playing ahead of you. That one baffles me. That one makes no sense to me. And that one is on MARESCA. 100% on MARESCA. You know it doesn't work too. It would be one thing if it worked, guys. But the fact that we know it doesn't work and he still does it is ridiculous. And some people saying he would have made a Portugal team even if he stayed. Maybe. Who knows? But I'm not going to blame the player for wanting to move out just to not take that risk. And then there's other players like Ben Chilwell, which we know Ben Chilwell's not good enough for the team. And yeah, that's really it. Ben Chilwell just not good enough for the team. So all in all, out of all of that, the players that the ones that I blame MARESCA for with these players that want to leave are Renato Vega and Carney. And Nkunku and Felix are up in the air for me. And not even in Nkunku, really, to be honest. Nkunku just doesn't fit. He's a shadow striker. This isn't a system that suits Nkunku. And Felix, time will tell with that one. Time will tell with that one. Because if he still doesn't get enough minutes, when I think Felix does deserve more minutes, I think in recent time too, Cole Palmer does deserve to be benched, and Felix does deserve to get minutes off the bench. That one's something that we're going to look at. But Nkunku, I don't think deserves to get more minutes than he's been getting, to be honest. Not anymore. In the beginning of the season, I would have said yes. But now at this point of the season, he just needs to go. I don't blame MARESCA on that one. I blame MARESCA for Vega. I blame MARESCA for Carney. I gave you the reasons why. If you don't like it, then so be it. We just disagree. But I'm not going to sit here and believe this theory that MARESCA can make 16 players that are out of favor happy by giving them substitution minutes and plenty of minutes in the league. When one, we can't even beat lower league sides with our best team. What makes you think we're going to beat them with our B team? And we can't even beat them with our B team. 2, the best teams in the league right now aren't rotating. 3, there aren't enough minutes. Let's just be honest. There are not enough minutes. And there are not enough subs to make fucking 16 other players happy. And you want to blame MARESCA for that. Guys, if there's one thing you walk out of here, it's this. The overall problem at Chelsea, forget the owners. We're stuck with them. And I already told you, if you really want these owners out, if you really want to hurt these owners, stop buying the merch. Stop spending money on Chelsea. And that will hurt their pockets. And that's how you can get your go at the ownership, right? But we're stuck with them. As far as I'm aware, we're stuck with the ownership. There's nothing I can do about it. There's nothing we can say or whatever. That's a factor that's always going to be there. There's no point in me whining and crying about it. It's a waste of energy. It's a waste of mental time. Whatever. The one thing that can change is these sporting directors. And that's the one big thing I want to get out of this whole thing. I blame the sporting directors for a lot of what's going on. I blame the sporting directors for giving MARESCA this overbloated squad with players that don't even suit his system. I blame the sporting directors for this bad recruiting. I blame the sporting directors for hosting this environment of players that want to leave, which that is what it is, but it's more than MARESCA. You can say MARESCA this and that for what I said earlier in the stream, the first half hour, where I criticized the tactics. I criticized the in-game management. I criticized playing players over other players. I get that. But, and sorry, I'm moving around because I have to pee really badly. It's been 2 hours and a half and I'm just sitting here like a champ. And sorry guys, it's Chelsea Hour extended edition because there's a lot to talk about with the whole MARESCA situation. But even then, you guys remember that in the beginning of the season, we were told that the ownership, not even the ownership, but the directors want someone that can coach in a traditional sense, not someone that's going to have a say in transfers and request this and that. Part of the reason why Poch got fired. I don't even blame MARESCA for Robert Sanchez. I genuinely think now that Robert Sanchez is a sporting director call. I genuinely think Robert Sanchez is a sporting director call. Chalobah comes back from the team. Chalobah comes back from Crystal Palace and immediately starts. But I'm supposed to believe MARESCA was the one that sent them off. Maresca's just a puppet in this. I'll be so honest with you. Maresca's just saying what the ownership or the directors are telling him he's allowed to say and to put this out in public. And JP, this is where I'm getting at. This is the whole point of this, is to point out what is on Maresca and what's not on Maresca, because what's not on Maresca is on the sporting directors. And in my opinion, if we fail top 4, if we fail to win a trophy, I want these directors out. I want these directors out. I'm done. I'm so fed up. I don't even care about this window. I care about how we've recruited up until this point. I care about the players that we sent out in shitty loans that won out. I care about the players that we bought that were promising that are now underdeveloped. I care about the players that we have stuck here for 2 seasons in a fucking David Washington who's just been sitting there to rot and underdeveloped. What was the point of getting these players? What was the point of doing all this? How does it help the manager currently in charge? It's on the sporting directors. The sporting directors are the ones that, in my opinion, are telling Maresca, you need to play Sanchez. We believe in Sanchez. We need to play Sanchez. So what was the point of getting Jurgensen? What was the point of getting Jurgensen? It makes absolutely no sense to me. And I think Pochettino, part of the reason he got sacked is because he benched Sanchez and it started Petrovic. And I don't think that sat well with the directors, because that goes against their plan. That goes against, we're trying to sell them for profit. Because let's be honest, guys, we're selling players that are playing like shit. We have sold players that play like shit for money. We've made money off of Havertz. We made money off of Mason Mount. Even Kepa to an extent. You know, there's other examples that I can't think of right now that I had on my way here. But if you play players, they'll still sell. They won't go undervalued. Players that don't play lose value. Players that play can maintain value to an extent. And we've seen that players that play, we have sold. We're looking at Disasi being loaned out, and how Disasi has many suitors, right? And Kunku only has one suitor, Bayern. Because he doesn't play. Who else doesn't play? Chilwell, no suitors. And you're supposed to tell me the Sassi is better than Chilwell? I don't know. It's both shit, to be honest. But why do you think Chilwell doesn't have suitors? Doesn't play. The Sassi has suitors. He plays. You can't sell Robert Sanchez if you don't play him. That's my theory. And what do these owners want to do? They want to sell him. They want to sell him because he didn't cost that much. You got rid of Petrovic. And now look what Petrovic is doing. He's doing the one thing that actually helps Maresca. The progressive passing. So Maresca sent him away. Sent him away and couldn't coach him. But he could coach Sanchez, who's still doing shit. You're telling me Jurgensen, who had a good save percentage, he's not getting in because he's not better than... Guys, it's all PR. It's all the sporting directors. Sporting directors are pulling strings. I'll be so honest with you. A lot of the things that don't make sense is because on the surface, we're seeing Maresca basically being the definition of what people say, yes, man. He's just delivering on what they want him to do. That's my honest opinion, guys. And that's why I think a lot of what's happening this season, it's what the sporting directors want, with some flexibility from Maresca. But overall, I don't think Maresca is really calling the shots. I think a lot of the shots are being called by the sporting directors. Robert Sanchez is your main culprit there. So on and so forth with other players. Time will tell. Like I said, when new evidence shows up, I change my opinion. And I change the way I look at things. But with the way things are moving and how things haven't been making sense, even in the window, even in recruitment, I'm looking at the sporting directors a lot funnier. And I'm looking at last season with Poch a little bit funnier as well. And now I'm even giving a little bit more sympathy to Poch. Because maybe Poch is telling the truth. Maybe they did tell him he didn't need to make top 4. Maybe he did get sacked because he made decisions that the ownership didn't want him to do. But he said, fuck that. Sanchez suck. I'm playing Petrovic. You know? Fuck that. Palmer's good. I'm playing Palmer at right wing or whatever. There are some decisions there that look questionable. And now I'm thinking it has a lot more to do with the sporting directors. Yeah, I mean, listen. Like I said, DHL, he signed a 5-year deal, but it's lucrative. It's Chelsea. It's Chelsea. And it's a big step up in your career. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. But that's also part of the reason why they probably went for a manager or an inexperienced coach, because they know an inexperienced coach isn't going to say no to them. There's a lot of things running through my head, people. A lot of things running through my head. So at the end of the season, I will come back. We'll do something like this again. I'll see what's going on. I'll determine what's happening. I'll assess the situation and see if I still believe half the things I'm believing in right now. But as of right now, I think the sporting directors are doing a lot more work than is being shown in terms of controlling what's happening out there with our team. And MARESCA's kind of just a puppet on a 5-year deal, a lucrative one. He's just the fall guy, we'll say. And maybe Pochettino was supposed to be the fall guy, but he said fuck that, and it lost him his job. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see, guys. This has been a very long Chelsea hour, but I wanted to get all these out because it's been bothering me. It's been festering in me. I feel better now that I vented it out. I'm late to band practice. They're going to kill me, but it's okay. But yeah, I wanted to get this all out because I think there's a lot of people putting a lot of blame on MARESCA when I don't think MARESCA is in as much control as people like to think he is. Again, head coach. Again, comments said before about the sporting directors looking for what they're looking for. Robert Sanchez being played despite us not rating him. Some players getting minutes over others. Just a lot of things don't make sense. So for me, that's my thoughts, people. Sorry I didn't read much of the comments. I'll rewatch the video, the stream, and I'll read the comments. But yeah, maybe the drop in form is on MARESCA. Maybe Sanchez is his choice. Like I said, I don't think it's his choice. I think the ownership is telling him, not the ownership, the sporting directors are telling him to play him. Or yeah. But you can believe what you guys want to believe. I think there's more to it than just what you're seeing on the surface level. But big up to everyone. I appreciate y'all being here. I appreciate you guys also smashing the like button. I saw that over 51 likes. So that tells me that you guys actually like when I rant and do these kind of streams. And I appreciate that. That means a lot because sometimes I feel like people don't want to hear what I have to fucking say. And you guys make me feel like people want to hear what I have to fucking say. So big up to you guys. I appreciate it. We're going to, again, I disagree vehemently with what you're saying, JC. We're going to go ahead and raid out to Sarcasm City. Ladies and gents, I appreciate your time. Hopefully this video makes sense to you. Hopefully maybe it opened up a lot of avenues and different discussions to be had. If you're going to have any discussions, have them in the comment section down below. Please let me know your thoughts. If you disagree with something vehemently that I said, then by all means, let me know. Again, I'm open to different views on this. I gather my opinions based on the opinions of a lot of people. And, you know, I kind of like to see things from different perspectives. And so that's why you're not going to hear me say from the get-go, let's say we get another ownership, a Canadian ownership next summer. You're not going to hear me say, get these Canadians out, all this and that. Let's give it a shot. Let's see what happens. I said I'm going to give it 3 years, and I'm giving it 3 years. It's 2.5. It's not looking good, but things can turn around. Things can start to make more sense down the line. And so that's me being fair. I like being fair. I don't like it when people are being unfair. And I fight against it. I fight against it because I'm a seeker of truth to an extent. I don't want to sound like I'm a whole mighty and all this bullshit, but in the end of the day, that's what drives me is I want to get to the bottom of it. I want to share opinions. I want to have conversations. I want to get to the facts. And the facts are, I think there's a lot more going on underneath the curtain that people aren't talking about. And people are putting it on the fall guy, which is MARESCA. But I think the problem supersedes MARESCA. And people have been saying it, but a lot of people are still blaming MARESCA and for stupid things that I went over today. So big up to everyone. Thank you for smashing the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Big up to the new subscribers that came in today. And big up to our members. I'm going to go ahead and shout them out. That's going to be TM127, EE, Hasnawaz, Dark, Adrian A. Soliman, EPL Turf, Pels, SDFC, Benny, CAA Mafia, and Adam CFC. So big up to you guys. I appreciate your time invested into the stream, your time invested into the channel. And I appreciate you guys for giving me your time in your ear as well to hear my theory and my reason for thinking that this problem supersedes MARESCA. I am very upset with the situation at the club right now. I do hope we turn it around. Next game is up against Villa? Who are we up against next? Hold on. I have it right here. Bournemouth? Brentford? Some team in the Premier League? West Ham. Oh, my days. Bro, if we lose to Potter, I might have to deactivate socials. I ain't gonna lie to you. Hopefully that doesn't happen. But big up to everyone. Say hello to Sarcasm City. Flawless over there. And I'll catch you guys on hopefully the next Chelsea hour. That's going to be an hour and not 2 hours and a half. Basically another Casually FC stream. But big up to every single one of you. I appreciate y'all. Have a good night. As always, stay casual. Peace.